So we're on day 5 of the WPT World Championship. I'm in a pretty great spot. So there's 8 players left out of about 2,300 runners. Pretty much runaway chip leader at this point. I have about 75 million, 95 big blinds, and then I have like a 2x chip lead over the second biggest stack at 35 million. Pretty much third through eighth is very, very compact. So pretty much, let's say for example, eighth place doubles up. They're pretty much right in third. This is a very, very dreamy spot for a chip leader because everyone is incentivized to play very, very tight and take very, very passive lines because of the ICM pressure. Pretty much it gives me free reign to almost open any 2 cards, to be honest. Obviously, it's very, very dependent on the players at the table, but my read up until this point was everyone was playing very, very careful and they were very sensitive to ICM. I'm in UTG +2 with 9-6 of hearts. I'm pretty much opening any suited cards, pretty much any two. I'd say like 90% of my range I'm opening. So I opened a 2x, 2 big blinds. Anzi was playing very, very passive at this final table. You'll see he has pocket jacks on the button. Very, very tricky spot. Solver likes call here, given the ICM implications, and that's what he does. So he tanks for a little bit, and he'll end up finding a call on the button. It's also important to note that the small blind and big blind both have roughly 27 big blinds, so they're most likely going to fold even some pretty strong hands in this situation. But they ended up folding some pretty bad hands here, and we will go to the flop. So flop is King 9-10, 2 spades. I flop bottom pair. I'm pretty much going to c-bet this board all the time, see where I'm at. I go very, very small. I go about quarter pot for my c-bet. Now, Anzi is in a pretty tricky spot with pocket jacks here. It's pretty much a mandatory call at this point, given how wet the board is. But I say it's tricky because I could put a lot of pressure on the turn and river, and he's going to be put in a very, very, very high pressure spot. Turn comes 8 of hearts. So this makes the board even more dynamic and wet. I decide to pot control here. In my head, I'm thinking I'll check. He's most likely going to check back given the situation. And on certain rivers, I already planned ahead and thought I'm going to put a lot of pressure on him. And if the river is favorable for me, if it's any spade, ace, which is good for my range, any 8, 9, obviously, 10, I'm going to fire very, very big on the river. So my plan here was to check. If he bets, I'm going to fold, but if he checks back, I'm going to bomb the river on most cards. River is a 10 of spades. So we have about 9 million in the pot. 10 of spades is a really, really good card for me. I check back the turn with a lot of tens, a lot of ace tens, jack 10. Also note that the flush came in as well. So I do check back a lot of turns with flush draws as well. So this 10 of spades is a really, really, really good card for me to bluff. I do find, I believe I'm going to bet about 2/3 pot, roughly 66%. I believe I bet 6 million here. And this puts a lot of pressure on Anzi, given the stack dynamics. It's very, very tough to call here because if he does call and he's incorrect, he's going to go down to about 15 million, which would be pretty much going from fourth to eighth if he calls here and he's not correct. So he folds actually pretty quickly. And yeah, this is kind of the beauty of being a chip leader and in a very, very high pressure ICM spot where all of the stacks from 3 to 8 are very, very similar and they're incentivized to take very, very passive lines. It gave me free reign to pretty much open 90% of my range and put a lot of pressure as you saw in that hand.